How many of you remember the 80s and 90s where everything was about anticipation and there was no instant gratification, like next episode of our favorite movie, for example, was next week or maybe next month, and even bananas and oranges were coming in the next winter, but my favorite was the International Rally, which it happens to have a stage passing through our small town, and the screaming of the crowds and the body expression from that man explain it all. It's like the goosebumps and the rush of adrenaline from that sound, the smell of burnt tire and the compressed air hitting my face after each car. That's it. Entirely different benchmark for joy and shape my goals and dreams for the next 40 years. You know, from pushing little plastic cars sideways on the carpet to building my own rally cars to recent days where other car enthusiasts with engineering brains build some crazy stuff and bring the simulation to the point where I can go back in time and experience those same monsters which back then changed my life forever. That for some may sound romantic and for some even childish, but for me is dream almost complete. I can already hear some say, come on bro, grow up, this is a game. And that's true, it's a game, but let me tell you something. If you watch nice movie or read beautiful book with nice storyline or even listen nice music, did it ever happen to tear down from the emotions? Because if not, that's too bad. It looks like life have taken something very special from you. However, if the answer is yes, why? Because you let your brain immerse in the experience and feel the emotions. Just think for a second. You tear down just passively watching movie, reading book or music. What about us, the sim racers, who are doing something we really love, but we actually have the control? Don't judge. We just do what we love. Quite weird intro for review video, but sometimes I really want to remind ourselves how lucky we are with that motorsport bug in our blood. Those years are so awesome, especially for the sim racing enthusiasts. Let's go back to that new BDH shifter and see what we've got this time. And the necessary disclaimer. First, they sent that shifter for test and review without any conditions, but honest opinion, and hopefully that's what you're gonna get. As the name suggests, this is H shifter, but have also sequential mode and can be unlocked in the same way as the old one. From my understanding, there are improvements on the electronics and in the mechanism from the previous model, which make the sequential mode way stronger and more engaging, something I can't personally report as I haven't had any experience with the first model, but the most impressive part this time is the price is dropped down by 20% despite that evolution. You know, I have quite awesome H shifters only, like the IOLOX and the BDH 8 gear H pattern, which you saw a few weeks back. I have also many great sequential shifters like the SG, Hoising Welt, VNM, Another Way, Octane Design, and I also have few hybrids like the SimMagic DS, the AW Hypershift, and now that BDH H2SQ. Also, I have two sim rigs, which one is the TR160 V2 testing bench for every new sim gear I get for review, and the other one is the ultimate rig for the best possible experience I can get, of course, subjectively speaking, for personal taste. On the ultimate rig till now, my choice had to be with hybrid shifter, so I can get both H and sequential mode from the same gear, and my choice till now was the Hypershift. That is one very good shifter in both modes, H and sequential. However, after just one day driving with the BDH on the testing rig, my choice was very clear and the Hyper got replaced. I still think the Hypershift is absolutely awesome and it is also 30% cheaper, but in H mode that BDH H2SQ is just on another level in terms of speed, gear spacing between slots, precision in shifting and gear engagement. Of course, the engagement feeling can be on the subjective side, as that's my personal preference, but the precision and the speed in shifting is undeniable. In H mode, this is the most precise gear I ever had in my hands, no question about it. In that previous video I explained the differences between IO locks, the Hyper and the BDH, the original one, as the first two with more friction in engagement, and I explained that in the original BDH that friction were missing, it was more clicky, like you're driving completely new gearbox. But for my surprise, that new SQ model comes with that same friction, which I personally like a lot. What I want to say is IO locks as H pattern has been my favorite for a very long time because of that natural friction we get from just shifting into the slots. And now that BDH SQ model achieved that same feeling, but still feels faster with more precise spacing between those 8 slots. They are both absolutely great shifters, but that new BDH definitely wins my personal like. Bit more natural and bit faster is what really separates those two in H mode. IO locks couldn't get placed to my main rig because lack of sequential mode, but was my benchmark on H mode for a very long time and finally got beaten. That being said, let me summarize the differences between both BDH shifters in H mode. Original BDH have bit more clicky engaging into slots with less friction, more like new gearbox, and the new BDH feels very different with lot of friction, which from Dave's explanation came from the second rod on the sequential mechanism. Both models with very good spacing between gears, but I feel like the SQ model is a bit more precise and a bit faster. Now, Dave said it feels faster because of the shorter lever, but I personally feel more confident in my shifting with the SQ model. The lever just goes with insane precision to each slot with zero effort. I don't know if can get more natural and faster than that. IO locks, as my previous favorite, have that natural friction in action, but I can't go as fast and precise as with the BDH2. It is still absolutely amazing shifter, but just have to take second place in H mode on my personal list. The third place on my personal list goes to the original BDH and the fourth is for the Hypershift. That being said, going to the next feature, which is the sequential mod, surprisingly that extra rod for that mod has given advantage for the H pattern, but is also very reasonable in sequential engagement. It can be adjusted in stiffness from the same bolt and has dual engagement with that double click going in and out. In my opinion, this mod have been always compromised in hybrid shifters, not that much from feeling in action, but from the physical position of the gearbox. Sequential levers are usually close to the steering wheel, but that has to stay on the side low. However, even if it's not in the optimal position, it is still better than nothing. Beside that position disadvantage, in action feels absolutely cool. We are used in bit shorter lever movements, but this is still very realistic movement in distance and is about the same we see in V8 supercars, for example. This came mostly as secondary feature to that gearbox, but in my opinion is absolutely awesome in terms of feeling and stiffness. Also, not every sequential lever sits close to the steering wheel. There are many cars which have it on the original place, so it depends what you really want to simulate. What is important for me is, despite being hybrid model, the sequential feels absolutely natural. Switching between modes is also very sweet, just rotate one side or the other. So, the internal mechanisms is not something I can explain as I don't have the engineering brain, but they have very nice video about it which worth your attention. I'm more about the subjective and objective driving experience. You know, I love shifters and the engagement they give in action. It is something I will enjoy forever. BDH H2SQ have definitely won its place on the main rig for all the reasons I explained before. It is fast, precise, engaging with H and sequential mode. Of course, I haven't tested everything on the market, but this model definitely had strong contenders here to compete with. It is even hard to imagine what can replace it from that rig, but I'm sure it won't be easy to remain there forever. Absolutely great work from BDH.